Well, UFC fans, we are currently watching a generational run by Ilia Topuria. So, in this video, I wanted to do a little tier list breakdown of odds of fighters beating Ilia Topuria. Now, this list here is going to be realistic matchups for the most part, okay? And how I see things going over the course of the next couple of years, assuming Ilia Topuria stays a 155 champion, or maybe wants to move up, okay? But, of course, he's going to need to defend a little bit. I think we can all agree there. Even though the super fight would be sick, Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev, we're unfortunately... that's looking like a distant dream, all right? But it would be sick if it happened. But I'm here to break down every single fighter in the lightweight division and a couple others, a couple other guest fighters we'll get into. But this is just an overall tier list. We have the highest chances, so the ones that I think may be above the 50% chance or close to that 50% chance. Because let's be honest, at this point, if Ilia Topuria gets matched up against fucking Francis Ngannou or Tom Aspinall, it's any way King wants it, okay? Alright, he can beat him any fucking way King wants. If he says it's round 1 KO, if he says it's round 2 submission, he gets what he wants, alright? So with that being said, highest chances at the top, a puncher's chance is anyone who could beat Ilia. Because despite what some people are now noticing, and despite what I've been saying for a little bit, Ilia Topuria is looking beatable. There are ways to beat him. It's not necessarily just because of how dangerous he is, but puncher's chance is someone who could probably tune up Ilia Topuria given enough time. You know, maybe wear and tear damage, maybe they just got equal power or close to that power, but let's be honest, I mean, Ilia power is just fucking insane. And then we have can't see it. I mean, I can't see it, you know. This will be the tier for any fighter who I don't think they really have a chance. There's probably an argument they could win, but I just don't, I don't see a way they can win, you know. And then we have death. So I think anyone in the death category, they just fucking die, you know? If they get in there with Ilia and Ilia touches their chin, they're a corpse on the canvas, alright? So that's what that tier's for. And then we have never gonna happen, and that's just any fighter that I think will never fight Ilia for certain means, alright? So this is gonna be pretty much just a realistic matchup. You know, we're looking at 2-3 years. And generally, obviously, I'm going to have my biases, but, yeah, I just want to break it down because I think this would be fun. Now, with that being said, let's get into it. We have the posh boy himself, Arman Tsarukyan, alright? Some people saying the deserving #1 contender, even though he's coming off a KO over Beneil Dariush. Who the fuck cares, okay? And before that, or I think after that, was it after? Was his last fight Oliveira? No way it was Oliveira, right? He did smoke Dariush. Ah, fuck. Now I'm, No, I think it was the Oliveira. I think that was the #1 contender bout, and then he had to pull out, if I'm not mistaken. But regardless, Arman Tsarukyan, the little posh boy, he is well-rounded. I kind of think he doesn't have a chance. I'll just be honest, man. I don't think he'd die. Like, I don't think it's round 1 by whatever King wants. Even though at this point I'm fucking sold on whatever King wants he gets. But I don't think Arman Tsarukyan has anything that would really be a problem for Ilia. Is he tough? Could he get a takedown? Could he take down Ilia Topuria? Sure. But outside of taking him down, Ilia's shown he's pretty, like, slick on the ground. He's really... He's got a lot of, what's it called, like, drive to want to get back up. He's very good at, like, okay, I need to get to top position, I need to get to my feet, I need to get out of this fucking nut-hugging situation. You know, where Arman Tsarukyan, he will just go dead-bodied in a not locked-in submission, but from a ref and from a judge's scorecards perspective, it does look like a locked-in submission, you know? If you're wondering what I'm referring to, the Charles Oliveira, where he's fucking sticking his tongue out and everything, and he's got him in that anaconda-type Darce choke. Tsarukyan literally went limp, not because he was out, because he was trying to make it harder for Oliveira to get the choke in, but it is just like, you don't want to do that. This guy's getting, people forget, man, Arman Tsarukyan's getting wobbled by Joaquim Silva, I want to say his name is. And you probably don't even know who that is because he's probably fucking not even fighting anymore. Alright? I haven't heard shit from that guy. But I think he's coming off a win over Clay Guida, I believe, actually. But regardless, what a, like, shitty fucking performance that was. He was like a minus 800, minus 1,000 favorite, and he got wobbled pretty bad. You know, I'm not saying that it was like a robbery or anything, but I thought that was a clear 29-28, Arman Tsarukyan. But it's still like, yeesh, you know what I mean? Gave a young Makhachev problems, I guess is his claim to fame. But, like, if we're talking about on the feet, I don't think he's going to get that shot he landed on Dariush on Ilia. That's just not going to happen. Could he outmuscle him? There's probably an argument. Somebody can probably bring up the statistics or something. And some wrestling glazer would probably give Arman Tsarukyan the edge here. I think Ilia Topuria probably gets it done. I can't see where Arman Tsarukyan really beats Ilia fucking anywhere. Alright? It's one thing to beat someone in the wrestling, but wrestlers need to be able to finish fights in the UFC. That's what wrestlers need to do. Nut huggers don't get by anymore. The Khabib era is over, okay? No more dominant grappling. You have to do a lot more. Most of our Evloev is evidence of that. Outside of that, what? Like Khamzat Chimaev, an active wrestler, not like a fucking just hold you down nut hug position. But yeah, moving on. Oh my god. Anyways, that was a demon that just got exhaled from my, yeah, we'll do Justin Gaethje next. I was going to do Oliveira, but obviously, you know, we're still at the funeral. R.I.P. Oliveira's career. He didn't retire, but I'm just saying that. I think Justin Gaethje would die. I'm gonna keep it real. Now, I think he would last a little bit longer than people think. Because I think a lot of people are like, okay, Ilia sleeps him within 2 minutes. I think Justin makes it to 3 minutes. Guys, you know, I think he makes it to the 4th minute, maybe. Okay? No, Justin Gaethje, he notoriously has really bad round ones. Dustin Poirier, he was getting his shit kicked in until he landed a flying head kick in round 2 at Salt Lake City, which was a factor in that, 100%. You run that fight 100,000 times, that never happens. You run that one time, Salt Lake City, Justin Gaethje's getting pieced up, he has one eye because his other eye's fucked up from Dustin Poirier. He randomly throws out a head kick out of butt-fuck nowhere, you know? So, I think Justin Gaethje, he'd just die. He's been flatlined by Max Holloway. I get it. It was the final 10 seconds. Like, if if we're looking at, like, a 20-minute no-round type of situation, or we're looking at, like, a fight that's not for the BMF belt, maybe Justin Gaethje doesn't get slept by Holloway. But Holloway showcased that, like, this dude's just a fucking walking punching bag. And I think we all know it, you know? Now, he did beat Fiziev twice, which is someone on this list that we'll get to. But overall, Justin Gaethje has really bad round ones. Ilia Topuria has really good round ones recently. I know it's, you know, the Volkanovski, that was kind of just a slow, boring round. That wasn't necessarily a bad round. I think Ilia would just find the chin on Justin Gaethje, and that'd just be a free paycheck. That's an easy, like, however, I don't know, what, 3-4 mil? Ilia would probably make just off of sleeping Gaethje. That'd be an easy paycheck for Ilia Topuria. Gaethje wouldn't wrestle. Gaethje would just stand there, hands down, waiting for a striking situation, cover up, and then try to go for something, and he's dead. And that's a corpse on the canvas. I'd love to see it, but I don't think it's next. I kind of hope it's not next, because I don't think Justin Gaethje's deserved it, but we'll see. Moving on. Charles do Bronx. I think we've seen it. Bro's just dead every time. I don't think there's a world where Charles Oliveira has a 1% chance of winning that fight. Alright, did he land a nice knee? Did he land a nice inside elbow? Did he get a takedown? Sure. And that's about as far as that goes. You know, I don't think Oliveira thought he was genuinely going to win this fight. I get it, it's like fighters are delusional, everything. But I think in his heart of hearts, he knew he was just a lamb to the slaughter. He knew he was probably going to get chinned. He's reckless every single fight. He goes in there, and that's why we love him, but he goes in there, hands down, trying to get a clinch knee on very short opponents that have just the most free overhand rights of all time. Ilia Topuria, I think, sleeps Oliveira 10 out of 10 times, and there's not a world where I think Oliveira even has a chance to beat Ilia Topuria. Moving on. Max Holloway at lightweight. Might be a hot take. I think Max Holloway does look more filled in at lightweight than Ilia Topuria does. And I think if Max Holloway can sort of refine his game, especially now that he's been knocked out, so he knows what it's like, I think he's going to be a little bit more, like, switched on whenever he gets cracked by big shots. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, he also might be like, oh shit, another one of those, I'm dead. I think Holloway's got a puncher's chance. You know, I'll say it, man. It was 1-1 going into the third, in my personal opinion, at that featherweight fight. And yeah, Ilia Topuria slept Holloway. First time Holloway's ever been slept. But Holloway was cracking him a good few times. He was landing a jab a good few times. I know it looked like a lamb going to the slaughter, and we were kind of all on the edge of our seat, just hoping Ilia Topuria doesn't sleep our boy Max Holloway. But if you watch that fight back, man, it was a lot closer than I think a lot of people promote it. I get it, he got slept, but he did have a lot of success before getting slept. You know? And it's another one of these, like, tall guy problems where they go for, like, a knee from not great ranges, back against the cage, try to go for a knee, hands down, hook on the inside right after, and he just gets fucking put down right after that, you know? Overhand left, puts him out. I mean, that's just what happens, man. Like, you can't have your hands low against Ilia Topuria. That's something we fucking learned, alright? But, yeah, I reckon Holloway's got a puncher's chance. I don't think it's any more than a 5% chance. You know, maybe a 10% chance. But he's got a puncher's chance. You know, and I'll include this as like a, you know, there's odds he wins at lightweight. Okay, not great odds, but there's odds, you know. And maybe let's just cope. Okay, but moving on. Dustin Poirier. The Diamond himself. I would say he's got a puncher's chance. Would he get a gilly? No. Would he get takedowns? No. Could he easily get submitted because Ilia Topuria's grappling is sneaky good? Yes. But the Diamond does have heat in those hands, and oh my god, I'm just saying, man, if he's backed against the cage, covering up, absorbing all that damage, and Topuria drops his hand for a little bit longer than he expects, a little bit slow that night, had a little bit too much wine to drink in the weigh-ins, alright, because that's something he does to lose weight. He has a wine glass, or a whole bottle of wine or some shit, before weigh-ins. If his hand is a little lazy that night, hey, DP could get it done. Now, if we're talking skill for skill, I think DP gets masterclassed everywhere, on the ground. Doesn't get a submission, couldn't get a takedown. He would land good shots, though. And Ilia Topuria, he is hittable. He's very, very hittable. People forget, man. Volkanovski was able to survive round 1. Okay? You know, Max Holloway had success. Josh Emmett got his ass whooped. But, you know, Bryce Mitchell had success. Like, there's guys who have success against Ilia. He is beatable, but he murders people so well, he looks unbeatable, you know? But Dustin Poirier, he's got a puncher's chance. I reckon he's got a better chance than Max Holloway, even though their fight is about to happen, and, you know, might be leaning one way or the other here, but, yeah, I definitely think Dustin Poirier's got a puncher's chance. Would this fight actually realistically happen? Probably not, but for the sake of my fantasy, in Fantasyland, in my own perfect world, I'd like to imagine this fight just because it'd end in a wicked finish via one of these men. So yeah, I'd definitely pick Ilia Topuria, but Dustin Poirier's got a decent puncher's chance. I'd say higher than Max, for sure. Moving on, Dan Hooker. People forget, man. Dan Hooker is a fucking beast. Alright, guys, listen, Dan Hooker, the only problem Dan Hooker would have in an Ilia Topuria fight isn't the chin, because he's been knocked out before, but fucking Dan Hooker don't care, alright? Ask if he cares about getting chinned. He don't give a fuck. He'll walk in there the same way. Dan Hooker is a taller, lengthier dude for lightweight, which is really good against Ilia. A lot of people are coming to the consensus that a tall, rangy dude who's got decent head movement and, you know, good boxing on the inside, that's the style to beat Ilia. Now, I don't necessarily agree, but Dan Hooker is weirdly, like, he would be weirdly good in that matchup, and I think he'd do a lot better than people think. Like, I think there'd be, like, 4 swing rounds, and he'd get finished in the 5th type of situation, you know? Or, like, late finish. He gets finished late. Just because Dan Hooker, he's not necessarily the most skilled, but he is tough as shit. And there's a difference between having an iron chin like Max Holloway and being tough as fuck like Dan Hooker, alright? He might get chinned, and it's very visible when he gets hurt, and that'd be my problem with Dan Hooker beating Ilia Topuria. So maybe I put him actually here and punch his chance, but he would be able to outrange Ilia. He would be able to have the movement to sort of back away from Ilia when he needs to. He would be able to do that. His problem is that he gets too caught on the fence sometimes, and it is very visibly obvious when he is hurt. Like, when he ate that head kick from Jalen Turner, he ate it well, very visibly, oh shit, he's wobbled, next strike might put him down. But he is tough as fuck, and it'd be one of those, like, what was it? Was it Ludovic Klein? Was it Ludovic Klein? Who was that fucking guy who got fucking his ass kicked? This would look a lot like Edson Barboza type. Edson Barboza, Dan Hooker, where it's just like Dan Hooker is eating shots and eventually maybe he's quitting on the feet. But I think because of that Edson Barboza performance, he would know, now I throw back, now I do this. I do think Dan Hooker is sneaky underrated, and I do think, like, Dan Hooker's not getting his back taken in round 1 like Max Holloway, just saying, right? Okay? Dan Hooker's got sneaky good scrambles. Dan Hooker, really good on the feet, and he's got power, man. People forget, man. I get it, Gamrot gets dropped a lot, but he did drop Gamrot, clearly won that 29-28, as I predicted. Feel free to hit that subscribe button if you're looking for picks and predictions every single week on every single fight card. Hit that subscribe button, notification bell, shameless plug over. But I do rate Dan Hooker's odds of beating Ilia Topuria style-wise. I think this is sort of realistic if we have like a Dan Hooker, Paddy Pimblett, Dan Hooker, Beneil Dariush. Anyone? Anyone looking for a Dan Hooker KO on Dariush after a win, huh? Anyone? Anyone in the crowd? Yeah, that's right. We're all looking for it. But I don't mind his chances, man. Listen, I get it. It would be like very disrespectful odds. Ilia would be like minus 1,500. But this would be one of those situations where it's like, damn, Dan Hooker did a lot better than people thought. And I do genuinely, I'm comfortable saying I think Dan Hooker does better against Ilia than Dustin Poirier, despite Dustin Poirier beating him, then Max Holloway, someone I'd pick to beat Dan Hooker, then Arman Tsarukyan, a guy who could probably beat Dan Hooker, just by boring decision, then a Justin Gaethje, and an Oliveira. I don't mind Dan Hooker's chances, really. I don't. I'm comfortable with this. Moving on, we have Mateusz Gamrot, because we have a lot here. Never gonna happen. Gamrot's never going to the top. I'm just gonna keep it real. Alright, Dan Hooker could beat Paddy for #1 contender. Dan Hooker could beat an Arman Tsarukyan. Gamrot's just not beating any one of these top guys. He will beat, like, these bums outside the rankings, the guys coming up. Like, he would beat a Grant Dawson. I don't mind his odds in a Grant Dawson fight. I don't mind his odds in a... What are we looking at lightweight? You know, a Moicano, even though they're partners, so that wouldn't happen. Maybe Fiziev, but I fucking doubt it. I wouldn't pick him in that, I'll be honest. Even though he does have a win. His knee blew out. Fiziev's knee blew out. It's not really a win in my book. But, yeah, I don't really rate Gamrot's chances of getting to the top again. And they disrespect him a lot. He was short notice. Or, sorry, not short notice. He was the backup fighter for Volk Islam 1. He got a win. Did he get a win? Trying to remember, because he fought... Was it Dan Hooker after Volk? No, he was... No, I remember now. I'm pretty sure it was Oliveira, Islam 2 was scheduled. Arman Tsarukyan... Or, Oliveira pulls out. Volk shows up 10 days short notice, and people are pissed because they didn't call up Gamrot, even though Gamrot showed up for a backup fighter on the first fight. So, I think if I'm remembering that correctly, he was the backup fighter, and they still didn't pick him. Gamrot's just cursed. He's not getting a title shot. I don't think anytime soon. Only getting older. Chin's only getting worse. And if this dude genuinely thinks he can strike with some of the best strikers in the world like Fiziev, this guy's getting put out cold. And I mean that seriously. I know it's Fiziev. People are calling him pillow-fisted Fiziev. But I mean that genuinely. I'm picking Fiziev by KO if that matchup happens. Okay? Moving on. We have 2 failed images of Beneil Dariush. And then we have Beneil Dariush coming off one of the best wins of his career. Hanato, the true lightweight goat Moicano, got robbed after knocking down Islam Makhachev. Damn, this fight was close, guys. No, it was clear Beneil. I think Unk could get a title shot. Funnily enough, I think Unk could get a title shot after a Gaethje win. Beating Arman Tsarukyan? Could happen. Oh, wait, no. He just lost to Arman Tsarukyan. I'm brain dead. I don't see it. After a performance like that... Listen, Beneil's never going to quit on himself. He's 37 years old. I got a lot of respect for the dude. He has one of the records for, like, most tests... or longest time without testing positive for PEDs or some shit. Or he got a shirt for like a record-breaking number or something like that. It was something weird. But regardless, I got a lot of respect for Beneil. He's never getting a title shot. He's 37 years old. He got swept by Arman Tsarukyan. Yeah, enough said, you know? I think Fiziev would put out Beneil Dariush at this point in his career. I feel bad for Beneil because he is very chinny. People forget, man, he was the favorite against Oliveira when they fought. But... yeah, I just don't see it, unfortunately, for Beneil. I don't even think he gets close. And by the way, this never going to happen also works with the can't see it. There's just no way I think they win, even if they do somehow make it to the top. If you're not making it to challenge Ilia, like if you're not winning enough to challenge Ilia, you're not going to beat Ilia, in my opinion, you know? Then we have Hanato Moicano, coming off the loss to Beneil Dariush. Now, obviously, Hanato Moicano would ragdoll the fuck out of Ilia Topuria. He'd honestly take him down so easily. Get a nice little inside trip. Probably get Ilia on his ass. And then just lay him out flat, full mount, raining elbows, like he did Benoit Saint Denis in that 10-7 in round 1. Just beat the living shit out of Ilia Topuria. No, I'm joking, obviously. I think Hanato would die. I love Hanato Moicano. Hey, give me the fucking money. Make no mistake. I lost only to the best. But tonight, Beneil Dariush is the best. Okay? Yeah, Hanato's chinny. I was really worried he was going to get KO'd by Beneil. Just overhand left, most telegraph shit. You could see Beneil trying to load it up here and there. He's not dodging the shit Ilia's ready for. And you're looking that gassed in round 2, or in round 3 against Beneil Dariush. Brother, you're dead. You're just dead against Ilia Topuria. So I think Hanato's got no chance. He's almost the style, but he's missing that head movement. He's missing that danger on the feet. He's missing that submission threat. Hanato really isn't a submission guy. He's like a advantageous, get you to a dominant position on the ground and beat the shit out of you type of guy. He's not really a submission dude, and he hasn't been for a couple years. So, yeah. Hanato's just like, egos and like never gonna happen. They could, man. Hey, short notice? It's possible. Alright? But I think he'd die. I think he'd just fucking get smoked. Yeah, moving on. Grant Dawson, currently ranked number 12, I believe, in UFC lightweight. Could be somewhere iffy around there. Now, this could be under the never gonna happen, but for the sake of theory crafting and making fun match makes, you know, we can put these guys here, I guess. Grant Dawson, I haven't seen anything that makes me think this guy's sick. His last performance was sick against, I think it was Carlos Diego Ferreira, where he got that submission. Really good win. Very, very good win. Very impressive. He got chinned by Bobby Green. What, last year? Not a good look. You're getting chinned by Bobby Green in Big 2024. Fuck you think Ilia is gonna do to you, bro? Actually, you know, we'll just put him here because I think he would die. You know, I think Oliveira gets the worst. His chin HP is actually. I think Gaethje would probably get the worst. These guys' chin HP, it's running on one, guys. It's running on fucking empty. Okay, Grant Dawson, you know, he got chinned one time, big deal. You know, Hanato Moicano got chinned a couple times. You know, but yeah, I would probably organize it like this. Moving on, we have Benoit Saint Denis. I think he'd die. Just the way he goes into striking exchanges nowadays, like against that fucking bum from Canada, short notice debut, he was having success. Benoit Saint Denis was like minus 800, minus 1,000, some crazy odds like that. Benoit Saint Denis, the fall from grace got to be studied, man. This guy was like, people are like, this is the next big deal. Gets fraud checked by fucking, was it Hanato Moicano? Was he the first one who fraud checked him? No, he got fraud checked by Poirier, the favorite in Poirier. I remember being at my gym at the time when I'm training, and I'm like, man, but I like Poirier, man. And everyone at the gym's like, yeah, but he's old, but he's chinny. He ain't got that dog in him no more. Goes out there, outdogs Benoit Saint Denis. Benoit Saint Denis then gets his ass beat by Hanato Moicano. I mean, I think we can all agree it's never going to happen. I doubt Benoit Saint Denis stays ranked for longer than a year. I think he'd die. I think he'd get flatlined similar to the Dustin. I think he'd last longer than Oliveira did. You know? Just plodding forward. You know, wobbling in. You know? I think because he'd wobble all over the place, it'd be harder for Ilia to really tag him. But yeah, I put him there. Moving on. Paddy the fucking Batty lad. Hey! Scousers don't get knocked out, lad. I'm from Liverpool, don't you know? No glaze. Alright, no glaze. Oh, whoa. I'm not a Paddy the Pimblett glaze. I remember when I was, not kidding, 300 fucking pounds. Okay? And I'm talking to my boys in the cooler. Alright? At the place I'm working at. And I'm like, I beat the shit out of this guy. This guy fucking sucks. He lost to Jared Gordon. He lost to Jared Gordon. I'm like, I'd beat the shit out of Paddy the Fatty. This guy fucking sucks. I was 300 pounds, clearly. Not anymore, but regardless of that fact, he is kind of the style to beat Ilia. Listen, Chandler sucks. Obviously, I picked Paddy to beat Chandler. Chandler fucking sucks. He doesn't hit that hard as people think. He cracked Paddy on the chin very cleanly. Paddy ate it. Would he eat that against Ilia? This, I think, would be a lot like... This would be one of those... It'd be like a Volk-Diego situation where I think Ilia would be winning most of the time. Right? He's landing good, but Paddy's still swinging. Paddy's landing that knee at range. Paddy's landing those leg kicks from a distance. You know, Paddy is like a decent size. Like, he's almost a perfect size for lightweight, and that might be why he's like... risen so fast, that and because he's beaten 35-year-olds. But he isn't that... He's not as battle-worn as the lightweight division. And what I mean by that is, like, Hanato Moicano's been cracked a billion times. You know? Benoit Saint Denis has been brutalized. Charles Oliveira has gone through fucking too many wars. Justin Gaethje has gone through too many fucking wars where it's just like you see him out on his feet. You know? Beneil Dariush has no chin. Gamrot has no chin. Arman Tsarukyan is sort of like the fresh posh boy, but there's no real threat, right? Max Holloway's been through a lot of fucking wars, and that might be why he got chinned. Dustin Poirier is about to retire, but Dan Hooker and Dustin Poirier, they've been through so many wars and battles and close fucking slugfests, as a certain We Want Picks Angelo would say, but Paddy doesn't have that. He has fresh, full HP chin. I do think it would get cracked, and I do think Paddy would get knocked down if this fight is made. And I would pick Ilia Topuria, but I think it would be one of those situations just like, wow, Paddy landed that knee really cleanly. Oh shit, oh my god, he just landed that really nice fucking front kick up the middle, you know? Paddy's also got good game plans for who he goes against. He knows he's bigger than Chandler, so he's like out grappling him and like dominant, like bigger person sort of moves, I guess is the good way to put it. He did lose to Jared Gordon. That is a fact. And I know MMA Guru has completely flipped on that take and is now saying, well, he had a broken foot, guys. That don't mean shit, low bro. All right? Paddy Pimblett still lost that fight very clearly, 30-27. All right? The best you could give him is a 29-28, okay? Jared Gordon is not that good, even though he just knocked out Thiago Moises, okay? But regardless, Paddy is the style. His head movement isn't there. But he's got okay striking defense when he's in the pocket. When he's in the pocket, at distance, he doesn't have good striking defense. So this would be like a Wonder Boy Buckley KO type situation where Paddy'd be against the fence and like Ilia just fucking rains that fucking left hand or right hand right up with all of his body weight into it and fucking KOs Paddy the Batty. But I do think Paddy would last the longest out of everyone on this list so far. And that's purely because he is safe on the feet. Like, when he does get cracked, he's fine. And it is like, oh, everyone, you know, they get cracked until they're not fine. Like, look at Max Holloway. But Holloway's taking some bombs. Paddy the Batty is like a modern day... He's like a modern day Holloway Chin, you know? Just with more brain cells in terms of like a game plan. You know, he's not hands low, knee up the middle, even though he just did that to Chandler. He wouldn't do that in the Ilia fight. Purely because I think he realized, like, that was a fucking stupid thing to get cracked like Chandler from that. But he did whoop Chandler. And I think that knee up the middle is, like, Ilia's weakness. Oliveira's now landed it. Holloway has landed it. And there's somebody else. Oh, Jai Herbert. But, like, that was so long ago. But Ilia's weakness is when you're throwing up a kick, like a front kick up the middle or a knee up the middle, when Ilia's doing his bouncing back and forth and he's about to go in and do his fucking hooks from hell. But Paddy would be able to just be at range, avoid sort of that hook, and then land that knee up the middle. He's got the chin to even take a couple. Now, I do think eventually Ilia's going to be landing way too much because he is very accurate. That's something a lot of people underrate about Ilia. He's so fucking accurate with his punches. Right on the jawline almost every time. And Paddy does wing his head up like that. And maybe that's another reason why like Paddy would survive so long. Maybe because normal fighters tuck their chin. Ilia's always expecting a tucked chin, but Paddy's fucking chin is going to be sky high. Barely missing it, grazing it even. But I do think Paddy the Batty actually does have the highest chance so far on this list of beating Ilia Topuria. Moving on! We have Alexander Volkanovski, specifically at lightweight, because Ilia has said he can't make featherweight. I believe in Volkanovski's contract, it was guaranteed he'd get the belt back, even if he lost it against Ilia Topuria, taking it on that sort of short notice turnaround KO he received. Because that was only a couple weeks, or a couple months, I should say, after getting KO'd, he took that Ilia fight. What I will say, Volk was kind of doing his thing, guys, okay? He did get knocked out cold, but he's out. Am I wrong in saying Volk could, like, have a Islam Volk 1 performance against Ilia? Actually, I am, because Ilia's not going to be a bitch and nut hug. So I think most likely what would happen in this fight would be a stand-up battle, and it'd be Volk doing what he did to Lopez, tapping away, running away. But I think Ilia would eventually catch him. But I do rate Volk's chances. I think he still is good. He is still the best 145er to ever grace the earth. His chances are okay. Now, again, these guys I'm not saying are 50% or above. You know, these guys are more like, you know, I can see it. I can see it through the tunnel. You know, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel with these guys. Moving on, Rafael Fiziev. Hot take, Fiziev is the style to do it. He's a warrior, he's a gladiator, he picks his time, he goes in, bop, 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 and gets out. Safe, swift, sometimes he gets tagged on the way out. Could he get chinned? Yes, of course. I think his odds are better than Volkanovski. Completely biased. I think Fiziev is one of the most entertaining fighters to watch out there, okay? I picked him against Ignacio, I picked him against Gaethje twice, and I picked him against Gamrot. All right. And I know I've only been right of one of those 4, but I still believe in my boy Fiziev. Okay. He is the style to do it. He's a big, thick, muscly man. All right. He'll get in there. Bah, bah, bah. All right. He's not scared. Okay. And he's very, bro, he's so, when you see Fiziev in his moments where it's like, he sees the kick coming and he kicks first, like basically clashing legs. So good. My big problem though with Fiziev versus Ilia would be like, Ilia's just a straight boxer, and in order for Fiziev to do well, he's got to get in a box. You know what I mean? So he'd be in the danger zone the whole time. So that'd be kind of like the worry with Fiziev, but that'd be the fun part, man. You know? And Fiziev, if he beats Gamrot, if he beats Dan Hooker, if he beats Paddy Pimblett off a loss, you know, we could be looking at a Fiziev title run. All right? But those 2 Gaethje losses are kind of rough to watch. One was after a blown out knee, 10-day short notice, I get it. But it is like, fuck, man. But he did showcase he's pretty tough. And then, like, he's kind of chinny, but he's tough. And I think that's, like, the fun part about Fiziev, you know? Maybe he has pillow hands, but I think he hits decently hard. He did put out Moicano. Not a lot of people could do that. Some people say early stoppage. I say bullshit, okay? But yeah. I reckon Fiziev's chances are higher than Volkanovski's. I think Paddy still has the highest. Moving on. Diego Lopez. Now, I know he's a featherweight, and I know Ilia'd never make featherweight, so it's obviously not going to happen. I know, okay? But because everyone's picking against Diego Lopez in his next match against Gene Silva, bro, I'm telling you, man, this guy's got a puncher's chance, all right? I've been saying Diego Lopez versus Ilia Topuria is still a coin flip in my opinion. Even knowing what just happened with Diego Lopez getting pieced up for 5 rounds by Volkanovski on a close 2-2 going into the 5th. But overall, I'd scored a 1-4 Lopez side. Or, sorry, a 4-1 Volkanovski side, I should say. I do think Lopez, that get in there, bro, his hand speed is so good. His hand speed is so fucking good, and his power's still pretty good. He still knocked down Volk in round 2. And he did it in a different way than Ilia did. But you could tell Volk was out of it for a couple seconds there, you know? And that was a fully healed Volk. That wasn't like a 3-month turnaround against a danger striker who's never been defeated before, Volk, alright? This was vintage Volk out there. And Diego Lopez was, you know, toughing it out. You know, he toughed it out with the greatest 145er to ever live. He was able to knock down the greatest 145er who ever lived. He, you know, made it out with a few marks on his face, but didn't really get wobbled or hurt any moments. You know, he was going band for band. He wanted to fight at the end there. He was pointing to the ground, and Volk was so terrified of his power, he just ran away the whole time on his bike, terrified of Diego Lopez and what that man could do to him. And people forget, man, Diego Lopez is good on the ground. So I actually don't mind Diego Lopez. I think he's got a better chance than Max Holloway. I just think he is fresher. He's young. He's in prime. He's still improving. And, like, realistically, all he's got to do in that Volkanovski fight is not headhunt the whole time. And he wins that fight. You know? Maybe he's just a dumb blockhead boxer. That's what we'll find out against the Gene Silva fight. But I don't mind this. If this was at featherweight, obviously this is Dreamland. It would be a never gonna happen type of fight, but I don't mind his style. I don't mind his style. I also think he's bigger than Ilia out there, for 145. So I don't know how Ilia can't make 145, but I guess the world makes sense somehow. Moving on, Mauricio Huffy. A big talker that some people are saying is the next guy to be lightweight champ. I'm gonna be honest, man. I just can't see it. Listen, Huffy's got a nice spinning wheel kick against Bobby Green. Bobby Green's biggest weakness is that he doesn't pay attention to shit that's not straight in front of him. When Bobby Green gets caught and when he's put out cold, it's always like a spinning thing. Or it's a, you know, flying something, you know? It's never like just a straight 1-2 puts down Bobby Green. Alright, even though I'm sure you could probably find a clip of that happening. But Bobby Green, 40 years old, war with Jim Miller. I mean, got put out by Jalen Turner pretty badly. He did get smoked by Mauricio Huffy. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend like Mauricio Huffy didn't come off a very close decision to James Longtop. I get it, James Longtop is a punching bag. I get it, that's not James Longtop's weight division. And I get it, James Longtop, who the fuck is James Longtop? I get it. But when I watch that fight and Mauricio Huffy is constantly trying to aura farm and TikTok edit farm like he did against Jamie Mullarkey doing that Mortal Kombat sweep, he's not, like, he's got an X Factor, but his X Factor is like 95% of an X Factor. He's missing something there. He's not that busy to make these rounds clear. Yes, he's no-looking hooks, but his opponent is doubling his strikes. And if James Longtop wasn't a fat fuck in that fight, short notice, up a weight class, I don't know if Mauricio Huffy genuinely beats him. And I mean that genuinely right now. And of course, we're talking about before Mauricio Huffy gets ranked. This is a lot of, like, if things happen. You know, this is probably never going to happen. Ilia will retire by the time Huffy gets to the top. I just have this funny feeling Mauricio Huffy, along with a lot of these other fighting nerds, they're going to get exposed pretty soon in each of their weight classes. Like, Brahalio might get past Mavov. I don't think he becomes champ, and then he goes on a slide. Gene Silva could get past Diego Lopez. I don't think he does, and I think he goes on a slide where he just gets chinned, you know? Yeah. I don't see it with these fighting nerds, man. Listen, they have great aura. They're great at aura farming. When we're in there with actual skilled vets, like Ilia Topuria, there's not a way I think he wins. What is he going to do? Spinning wheel kick Ilia as Ilia's going in to try to fucking hook off his head? Alright? A hook from hell? And you're telling me Huffy's going to do like a no-look fucking inside fucking hook? It's not happening, man. It's not happening. I can't see it. I'm not like that convinced Huffy would get fucking corpseified, alright, by Ilia Topuria, but I just don't see a way Huffy can win, you know? And his ground doesn't look that crazy good either. I think in the Jamie Mullarkey fight he was getting held back a little bit. James Longtop was piecing up. I can't forget that. James Longtop was literally piecing up Mauricio Huffy. I picked Huffy, you know, and I was very high on Mauricio Huffy in that fight, and that was just you're leaving it to the judges type performance, and I don't like that. Can't trust it. Moving on, the final... fuck my foot. Moving on, the final name on my list here. JDM came to get the bag and be on my merry way. Now, this is, of course, if we're assuming Ilia goes up to welterweight at some point. Via Islam going up there, vacating the belt because he retires or some shit after beating JDM or something. Something weird happens, and we get a JDM fight. I could have put Islam here, but I think we can all agree Islam gets smoked by Ilia at this point. So I didn't think it would be even worth putting Islam's name in the bag here. So JDM, obviously this fight will probably never happen, but ooh. Thinking about this fight, alright? It has me, you know, thinking about this fight would feed families, let me tell you, if this fight was made. I do think he'd be too big for Ilia, and from what we've seen, he's got really good ability to never quit. Like, he's got one of those cardios that he's never going to get tired, even in a 5-round fight. He's got a really great chin. He's really good at head movement. He's really good when you're boxing. It's landing on the guard, not on his chin. You know? So I think out of everyone, JDM probably has the highest chance. I reckon JDM, this would be a pick'em. If Ilia moved up right now, this would probably be a pick'em. But yeah, this was my tier list. Yeah, I think this was fun. Yeah, I don't necessarily pick any of these fighters to beat Ilia, but these are kind of genuinely how I would see the styles type performances going at Ilia at their respective weight classes. All of these are assumed to be lightweight or JDM. Rare case, it's a welterweight fight for a vacated belt because Islam's retired after beating JDM or something weird like that, and Ilia's trying to get 3 belts. And then you have Diego Lopez, if that fight ever happened at featherweight, as the gods intended, but unfortunately it just got too good for Ilia. All right, that guy killed too many legends, and he had to move up and kill another legend. Okay, and now he has to move up again and kill 2 more legends in JDM and Islam Makhachev. But this is my tier list. This has been fun. If you disagree, maybe put who you think has the highest odds of beating Ilia Topuria. Currently, right now, I think whatever King wants and whatever King says, King's gonna get. All right. If he says Paddy Pimblett by round 1, he's gonna KO Paddy Pimblett by round 1, backflip into an omoplata, I'd fucking believe it at this point, man. You know. Yeah. So, he did just knock out a chinny Oliveira and old Oliveira, but, you know, people forget, man, in the build-up, the whole thing was that Oliveira's never been finished in round 1, or he hasn't been finished in round 1 in, like, over 10 years or something like that. So, yeah, interesting statistic. He beat that statistic. Would have been sicker if he got a submission, but he got the KO. So, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, I want to thank you for watching, and as always, I hope you have a good day.